How and why is the TR-6S so severely underrated? So I was fortunate enough to take a trip to LA a few days ago. I met with the Electron team and Ricky Tinez, which was an absolute pleasure. And guess what instruments I decided to bring? So naturally, my pocket operators. I also brought the OPZ. My OP1 is currently in repair, so I didn't bring that. I was considering bringing my Digitac, but it's a bit more of a hassle because it's not battery powered. I was considering filming things outside, which I did. So I figured, why not? I'll just bring the TR-6S, and it ended up being pretty much the only instrument that I explored during the trip. And I've already had this thought, but this trip confirmed it. This thing is severely underrated. I mean, just the fact that it's portable and battery powered, that's one reason. And there are so many others, which is what we'll be exploring in this video, the greatness of the TR-6S. A heads up that this isn't a video that's gonna be touching on every single aspect of the instrument. These are a few things that stood out to me and were shiny and attractive. If there's anything else that you'd like for me to discover or things that you think that I've missed about the TR-6S, let me know in the comments of this video. I'm always open to learning new things. And also, this video is not sponsored by Roland in any way. The idea of this video is coming from yours truly. It is, however, sponsored by DistroKid. If you're looking for a music distributor, go with DistroKid. They are very affordable and there's a 7% discount linked in the description of this video. And have you ever heard of TikTok? It's the biggest social media platform right now. And if you're releasing or planning on releasing music, you could make it available through TikTok with DistroKid. So if you already release your own content on TikTok, you could sync music to it through the app. And you'd also be giving access to other artists to do the same thing. So this is just a great way to promote your music. More on all this later in the video. I'm actually able to quantify the popularity of the gear that I own through this list here. This is my Perfect Circuit artist picks page, and the gear is listed in order of popularity. So if you keep on scrolling down, there's the TR-6S. It seems like the TR-8S is a bit more of a classic between these two, and its popularity has been pretty consistent since it's been released, which does make total sense. It's got almost twice as many channels. There's individual outs for each drum as well, so it's definitely the heftier option between the two, the more professional option, if you will. Both machines use ACB, analog circuitry behavior, for all of the classic Roland drum sounds. And for me, this is pretty much the #1 attraction for the TR-6S and the 8S as well. So these samples, if you will, I'm not sure you could even call them samples. They react as if they're sounding through an analog circuit. A few months back, I actually did a blindfold test comparison between the TR-6S 808 sounds and an OG 808. And there was no consistency over whether people could tell the difference between the two. Here's that video if you're interested. There was even a few people who actually preferred the sound of the TR-6S over the OG 808, which is like 15 times more expensive than this thing. So I haven't tested the other classic Roland drum sounds, but you could assume that they behave the same way. Unfortunately, I do not have access to all of the OGs, so you'll have to take my word for it. In fact, here, let's put together something with the 808 right now. I promise that this will be quick. Kick, snare. This is just a 1-bar pattern, by the way. And what I just demonstrated there is another attraction, the immediacy of using this sequencer. It's super quick. There's definitely a learning curve to the ins and outs of it, but it's not as complicated as something like maybe an Electron sequencer or even other more advanced Roland products as well. If you're on the lookout specifically for a sequencer and looking for just what's right for you, I'd have to admit that an Electron sequencer is definitely more precise. You have a bit more control with it. Just a little side note. I like to throw in little comparisons here and there in my videos just to keep things real. In terms of the tone of these drums, I have quite a bit of precision. I'm gonna head over to instrument, kick, and I could tune my kick. Make it a much longer kick. Oh, that's way too long. More attack. Same with snare. There you go. That snappiness is just like the OG 808. If I solo it, I'm I'm gonna bring that snappy down to 0. And it sounds like a snare without any chain, just like the OG. And you could get real snappy. This is just a simple repetitive 1-bar beat. I could go over to variation. I'm gonna copy this here. A over to, I think B, is that right? Okay, let's check this second bar, or I should say second variation. Yep, so if I want to chain those together, I just hit both of them at the same time. And then on this second one here, I'm able to, you know, change things around. Both of them together. Second bar. Right, so that's easy and seamless. So we've got 8 variations in total. We could link all these together if we want. Patterns, there's 16 patterns, and then if I hit hold pattern down, these are the banks. So you've got plenty of room to work with there. In terms of sampling, you're able to upload your own samples and modify them within the TR-6S. There's a slot for a SD card in the back. But honestly, I'm still like completely obsessed with these classic Roland drum sounds. So we'll be sticking to those for this video. Obviously, because of how compact this machine is, there's only room for 6 tracks. But in my opinion, 6 tracks is enough to achieve like a full enough sounding drum groove. I just did some TR-6S forum researching, and from what I understand, you're not able to program a different sample per step, unfortunately. I actually thought that you were able to do that because with some of these stock patterns, there's certain instruments that do have 2 sounds on them. If you have an instrument that has a dash like this, so the 707 snare 2/1, this is how you switch back and forth between the 2. So right now we have snare 2, which is red. Get rid of this one. If I hit snare drum, and click on a step, now it's pink, and that's snare 1. Right? So that's how you switch back and forth between samples with dashes on them. It's kind of a weird addition, but that's how it works. Ow. So with the previous examples that I showed you, that's the TR-6S as a drum machine. When you step into the Groovebox realm, because the TR-6S is considered a Groovebox, that's when you become limited, when you're mixing drums with melodic sounds at the same time. Instruments like the TR-8S, MC707, Digitact, Octatrack, so that would eliminate this sort of limit. But then of course you'd have some other limit. You know how it is. So let's take a closer look at the sequencer. The TR-6S sequencer is very high quality and precise. You could zero in on instruments and tweak them or change them to your liking, which is exactly what I'm going to show you. Let's go to that melodic sound, and I could just change it out on the fly, of course. Okay, I have a second melodic sound. This one right here. Same thing here. Right, so that's just a completely different flavor. Let's try and match it with the other instruments. We could really get into our instrument parameters and controls as well. Tune, decay, morph, right? There's all these different settings that we could change per instrument. LFO, all these different effects that we could choose from. We'll stick to low pass filter. Obviously this sound is, it's getting a bit annoying already, so I'm just gonna we go. Kind of puts it more in the background. There's also controls from an individual step level. So we're gonna go to the snare. We'll stick to variation 1. Right, so there's already velocity here, as you can see. So this is a different color, which means that the velocity is much lower than these ones. So let's blast these just for an example. And then this first one will bring that decay down. So it's just like a pop, very quick. Right. Maybe even this last one too. Let's try that. Right, so this one, the velocity of this one is, there we go. That's what I'm going for. And what if we did something similar with this melodic part here? We're going to make it more of a crescendo. So let's say 45 and then, 55, 65, 75, and then we'll go down from there. 65, 55, 45. Let's see what kind of effect that has. Right, so there's just more of a crescendo there. For me, this is one of the most important things to make my tracks sound more dynamic. And the TR-6S, no complaints, it just gives me everything that I need. And of course, these are controls that you could change on the fly. I'm not ashamed to say that I've based or gotten a lot of my ideas from templates or stock patterns that are already on the TR-6S. I've actually learned the most about the instrument by scrolling through these very detailed stock patterns. To me, it's sort of like sampling, but with a lot more control. You find a pattern that you like, maybe swap out some of the instrument sounds and the drum patterns, and you basically have a completely new pattern. And I, of course, have to show you an example of this. So this is a stock pattern right here, Abstract Funk. It's a 4-bar pattern. So you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna keep it 2 bars. Right away, I'm just gonna switch the kick out. I know that second pattern, I want that kick to continue, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, back to variation 1. Kick. Snare. You know what, just for the sake of it, we're actually going to mute these for now. That snare could definitely be louder. Not crazy about that sound. You've got your master effects on each of these knobs as well, so reverb, delay, as well as an option of whatever you want. So let's change that around. Currently I have it set to low pass filter, which is my go-to. Ugh, so smooth. Staying true to that ultra smooth Roland filter sound, I find that the SB404 also has, like, it's just so satisfying. I would go as far as saying that it's my favorite filter in the industry. These two are assigned on an individual instrument basis. So let's go to snare. I'm gonna go to instrument, delay send, no. We're gonna go to reverb send, give it a ton of reverb. And maybe the same thing with clap, hand clap. So now those are gonna react when I use this master effects here. Exit. Whoops. I'm tuning something there. So that's another thing. You have to make sure that you're on master effects. That's a little bit tricky. Right? So, doesn't sound the best, but just to demonstrate that as an example. It's great to have that sort of precision though, because if you only want certain elements of your track to be affected by reverb or delay, you could do that. I don't believe there's a way of doing that with this overall master effects here. This just affects all the tracks regardless. All right, so let's take a look at design and versatility. It's mainly just the size of the TR-6S that makes it so convenient. It fits perfectly onto your desk. Having a touch step sequencer where you're able to actually like plug in all the steps, that's pretty standard for sequencers in general. But for me, it's the faders. That's really a Roland thing, and I love these faders. They're very performative. There's definitely a sort of DJ quality there, and it's so easy to mute and unmute tracks. If I'm traveling or if I don't have another audio interface, I could use the TR-6S. Let's say I'm just feeling inspired, I make a track within the TR-6S and I want to bounce that on individual tracks into my DAW via USB. I could do that. If I want, I could interface with the TR-6S Roland software and do just that, but vice versa. As in make music on my computer within the software and then bounce that onto my TR-6S to play maybe a live set or something like that. And that I think is genius because most people these days are making music within their computer, so it's just a really seamless way to bounce onto a piece of hardware to actually perform live. It barely takes up any space, so it's usually just on a stand or on my desk. I find that if I need a drum machine, I most often reach for my TR-6S for a performance. It gives me everything I need and it's just the most convenient machine for me to set up. It's just one of those things I honestly can't figure out why the TR-6S isn't more popular. I mean, for what it does, it's totally affordable and capable. I don't know. And now let's talk about DistroKid and its integration with TikTok. First off, if you're looking for a music distributor, go with DistroKid. There's a 7% discount linked in the description of this video. TikTok is the biggest platform on the planet right now in terms of collective human activity. It recently surpassed YouTube. This was a few months ago, so I'm pretty sure it's like way ahead of YouTube now. And for artists and producers, there's one way that TikTok completely changed the game. You could allow other creators to use your music in their content, or you could just use your music in your own content, which is just a great way to get exposure. Like for example, if someone uses one of your songs in their video and it goes viral, it's just a great way to get people to actually listen to your music. When you release your music with DistroKid, it automatically becomes available on TikTok. You're actually even able to choose the 60-second segment that you want to include in people's videos. This is just one of the many reasons to join DistroKid. They are way ahead of the game. And like I said, if you're on the lookout, discounts in the description. There is a TR-6S purchase affiliate link in the description of this video as well. So if you're on the lookout and interested in buying, I actually make a small commission from that sale at no extra charge to you, so please support me. Other than that, you know the drill: liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, all the things. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm pretty good at getting back to you guys. Thanks for being here. Hope to see you soon. Ciao.